Sometimes I think I should have been a surgeon. You hammer and hammer and hammer and you think you're not going to get it, and all of a sudden it just slides in there and it fits and it just holds itself. You're like, oh, I'm there. My background is in fiber, and I sewed forever and got into metal because I didn't know it. It was a little bit intimidating, and I needed to learn something that was very, very new. I'm getting ready to plasma cut, and I'm going to put on my very cool Johnny Depp glasses. I love these glasses. I sort of fell back into this groove of dresses and garments. It's maybe something that won't leave me. I really love to create clothing, and the leaves sort of fell into place. I don't know, they ended up being this material that just seemed natural for the steel, whether that it was rusted or otherwise treated in a different way. And I can't seem to get away from that challenge of how to make the metal A, look soft, B, look like it's moving. I love being able to create that kind of movement in a piece of something that's so hard and so unfriendly. With the leaves, I've been collecting them for the last 6 or 7 years. Quite often I have a book in the back of my car, and I just slide them into the book until I get home and I can actually make a pattern from them. Birds are indicators. They go really nicely with the leaves. They're indicators of life. I was raised with birds, so I've had them around me my entire life. I have held them, I've loved them. When I first started welding, I started casting birds and putting them on my sculptures because I liked the birds with the steel. The sculptures that go outside and the birds are always on them. So I figured, well, I might as well create my own. Got it. One down. This is my first movable piece. She's got a little gyration going on here on the hips. We like that. And this is my favorite. When you get the skirt going. The whole idea is about creating movement with them, like they're walking, like they're moving in the garden. Give that suggestion of where she's looking, and then leave it up to you for your imagination as to how beautiful she is. The female form speaks to everybody. No matter what size it is, it's beautiful. It has its own voice. I use a lot of barbed wire. I love barbed wire. I probably am one of the few people on the planet that hasn't been bit by it. You hear all the stories about, oh, I don't like barbed wire. I like it on these pieces in particular. I use it for the straps quite often, like on this one. That happens to be a piece of vintage barbed wire. You can tell by the barb. I like the contrast with the barbed wire versus the soft and the real nice, flowy feminine. I think that there's that component in it that's, you know, the beauty of the softness and the feminine, and then that little bit of prickly, that little thing that, oh, might be hidden in some of us. I'm self-taught, so I really feel like I was blessed with some pretty amazing genes. Both of my parents were extraordinarily talented. My father worked in clay, he could draw, he did copper enameling, he worked in glass. My mom was a beautiful seamstress, so I learned my sewing skills primarily from her. I have this philosophy, and it was something that my grandmother taught me, is that the inside of a garment should be as beautiful as the outside. It has just followed me throughout my whole life. And so with my pieces, with the metal, all of the edges are softened. It'll just be just as soft as butter. I like the tips to be shiny, and my goal is to get my steel wool on every one of these little edges, which is a lot of work. I spend hours working on buffing out the edges, so it's laborious. It's a labor of love. There's that level of perfectionism that happens for me with my work, and every once in a while, the very last component that I'm putting onto the piece, or one final touch, where it's a flaw. I'm backpedaling and I'm thinking, well, okay, do I redo this? And I have really come to terms with the fact that it's really part of the piece. If it's just something really minor, I'm okay with it. Art has that. It has it in it. Nature has it in it. I mean, everything has it in it. We have it in us. You know, it's all part of the big picture.